Yo, what's going on, guys? I cannot seem to keep the LEDs up over there, so you know what? Just rock with me for a second. It's GZTV here, back with another video. The Sports Talk Mondays continues. The Monday night game, a very emotional night for Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers. Last home game for him is over. That game is over, and now he has no more visits to Heinz Field as a player. Kind of crazy to say, but we're here with a This Week in the NFL Week 17 edition, the second to last This Week in the NFL before we head to the playoffs, baby. And we got some good news. I should have worn my Devontae. Actually, you know what? We'll just do this. We'll just put it over my shoulders. You know, much deserved. I'll put it on real quick before we get into the games here. We got the Packers jersey on. We are mobbing. Let's get into the game that just concluded. Browns and Steelers, though. Um, really good game. A good farewell for Ben Roethlisberger. Not a very good game. It was ugly. He said it in the post-game interview with Michelle Tafoya. He's made a career off of winning ugly games, and that is no different. And he now is like one of the only quarterbacks I've ever seen that, like, while he's been playing, the Steelers haven't had a losing season, and that is an incredible stat. Baker Mayfield, a slightly better game than Ben Roethlisberger. I was surprised to see that. 185, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Ben Roethlisberger, 123, a touchdown and a pick. But it was all about fucking Najee Harris. 188 yards and a touchdown. The Alabama rookie gets it done. Nick Chubb, 58 yards, one nasty stiff arm each between the two. Damian Peoples-Jones on the receiving end, great receiver, 76 yards. And McLeod for Pittsburgh, 35 yards. A pretty surprising leading receiver, but it was ugly. So let's just move on to the next game. Congratulations to Ben Roethlisberger on a great career. Vikings and Packers. Packers root the Vikings by 27 in the cold to take the NFC's #1 seed. Go Pack, go, baby. We're not going to have to play wild card weekend. I'm very happy about that. Sean Mannion threw his first NFL touchdown. Congratulations to him. Maybe some more to come. I mean, if he can find another team, I definitely think he needs to go to another team. 189 for a touchdown. He actually played pretty solid against us. Our defense isn't no slouch. Rodgers, 288 for 2 touchdowns, continuing to play like an MVP. Aaron Jones played phenomenal, 8 carries for 76. And Sean Mannion was the leading rusher for the Vikings, 14 yards rushing there. Justin Jefferson, slow game, 58 yards, but what are you going to do with a somewhat rookie to the game? Devontae Adams, him and Rodgers, the connection was impeccable, 136 yards and a touchdown, and I'm so excited to see what the Packers can do in the playoffs. Rodgers needs to play next week to keep the MVP odds pretty much golden here. But anyways, moving on to Falcons and Bills. Bills that clinch a playoff berth and eliminate the Falcons with a 14-point victory. Again, with this week, there's a lot of playoff implications. So anytime there's a playoff implication, well, the Steelers are still alive now that they won. The Packers eliminated the Vikings, and they clinched the NFC. And now we got the Bills clinching a playoffs and eliminating the Falcons. So I'm sure Vikings fans were happy before they realized they had to play us. But Matt Ryan, 197 yards. Josh Allen, terrible game passing, 120 for 3 interceptions. Ugly win. Mike Davis, 42 yards and a touchdown. Devin Singletary, absolutely incredible game, 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Josh Allen had a fair share of running that game as well. Stephon Diggs, 52 yards receiving. Kyle Pitts, 69 yards receiving. I think he has one of the one of the best receiving seasons for a rookie tight end in NFL history. Not a lot of touchdowns to show for it, but he's getting yardage, man. Kyle Pitts is a very underrated player in this league, going under the radar, man. But anyways, moving on to Giants and Bears, slug like an absolute shit show here. Two teams that are eliminated from the playoffs, so it doesn't really matter. Robert Quinn sets the Bears' season sacks record in a 26-point rout of the Giants. Congratulations to Robert Quinn. I mean, great fucking player. I mean, he's a Pro Bowler for sure. Congratulations to the Bears for, starting to finish the season strong. 7-10 is not horrible. But two eliminated teams. This game didn't really matter in the end. Two shitty quarterback performances. Mike Glennon, 24 for 2 touchdowns. To Andy Dalton, 173 for a touchdown and a pick. 64 yards and 2 touchdowns for Montgomery. Carrying in Saquon Barkley with an amazing game, 102 yards. Barkley's best game of the year, no doubt. Evan Ingram, best receiver with 12 yards receiving. Darnell Mooney, 69 and a touchdown. Pretty ugly game, but the Bears, pull it out, just to get some bragging rights. The the best loser almost. Chiefs and Bengals. This was the game of the week. Holy shit, what a game! Bengals rally past the Chiefs, win by 3, and they clinched the AFC North title. They had the playoff berth for a while, but they just now clinched their division with a win. Um, Jamar fucking Chase and Joe Burrow, one of the best connections in the NFL. Probably behind Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers, but I think those are 1 and 2, to be honest. I don't think that's a bad thing to say. You got Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Stafford, obviously, but those are some of the best. Joe Burrow, 900 pass yards and 9 touchdowns in the past 2 games. He goes out for 446 for 4 touchdowns. Pat Mahomes, 259 for 2 touchdowns. Rushing wise, you had Damian Williams, 88 for 2 touchdowns. Joe Mixon, 46. Receiving, 266 for 3 touchdowns for Chase. He had more receiving yards than Patrick Mahomes had passing yards, and Mecole Hardman had a 53-yard reception. That was the highlight for the Chiefs. Moving on into the next game, we had the Dolphins and Titans, a fucking beatdown. Titans clinched their second straight AFC South title, beating Miami by 31. It was a very ugly game. I thought the Dolphins kind of had a chance in this one, but it got ugly really quick. Ryan Tannehill, 120 for 2 touchdowns. Tua Tagovailoa, 205 yards and an interception. He did not look crisp at all. This is one of the games I actually watched a little bit before switching over to some other games because it wasn't very much of a competition. But Tua looked very ugly in this one. Duke Johnson, solid 7 carries for 49. Deontay Foreman, what a fucking replacement for Derrick Henry. He goes out for 132 and a touchdown. A.J. Brown, 41 yards receiving. Mike Gesicki, pretty good tight end in the NFL, just 51 yards receiving. Great dominant one for the Titans. They're proving that they're one of the best teams in the AFC, even without their star, record-breaking running back in Derrick Henry. You got to give them all the credit there. But anyways, Raiders and Colts. This was a nail-biter. I have an aunt who is a Colts fan, and she was on the edge of her seat. A very bad loss here for the Colts because they definitely could have clinched the playoffs here. But you know what? Shout out to the Raiders. They kind of came from the dead, and now they have the same record as Indianapolis. Derek Carr, 255, a touchdown and 2 interceptions. But he's a clutch quarterback. He's been putting a lot of game-winning drives before. Hunter Renfrow, great catches down the stretch. Carson Wentz, 148 for a touchdown, and this is the first time that Jonathan Taylor's put up 100 rushing yards, 108 to be exact, with a touchdown. That the Colts, first time he's put up 100 plus, and the Colts haven't won. So that kind of sucks. Josh Jacobs, 63 for a touchdown. He was looking pretty solid. Zay Jones on the Raiders, a breakout game, 120 yards and 8 receptions, and Michael Pittman at 47 yards. Bad game to lose for the Colts, but you get a big break with the Jaguars next week, so let's see if the Colts can make the playoffs. I'm rooting for them. I like the Colts. Yeah. Let's move on to Jaguars Patriots. Another fucking ugly battle here. Patriots blow past the Jaguars by 40. They earn their playoff berth, and what a dominant fashion for Bill Belichick, Mac Jones, and these Patriots. He put some trust in his quarterback, Mac Jones, this season. It's all paid off because they are in the playoffs. Now they got to fight for some seeding here. Mac Jones looking great, 227, 3 touchdowns against a fellow rookie quarterback who was taking over him. Let's prove that I'm the better quarterback. Trevor Lawrence, 193, a touchdown and 3 interceptions. He may continue to struggle. I'm not sure yet. A running back on Jaguars, I don't know how to pronounce, 36 yards, but Stevenson, 107 for 2 touchdowns. He's that breakout star running back that the Patriots have needed. Kendrick Bourne, 76 yards receiving. You gotta love a former Niners receiver to succeed. And Treadwell, 87 yards receiving. That's a former Vikings receiver. It's pretty cool to see those guys succeed on different teams. But moving on to Buccaneers and Jets, I really wanted the Jets to win this one because it really would have showed some weakness in the Bucs team. Coming off a 9-0 loss to the Saints, Tom Brady had to prove some stuff here. Antonio Brown walks away from the Bucs. Tom Brady rallies the team past the Jets. The Antonio Brown situation. He acted like nothing happened. He walked off the field. He was cheering. He was rooting these Jets fans on. Maybe even hinting that he's going to New York because he went to a Brooklyn game. There's some theories going around, I'm sure, that he might be going to New York, but I'm not sure. So Zach Wilson, 234 for a touchdown. Pretty good game from him, but Tom Brady, an MVP-like performance, 410, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Vaughn, after a breakout game, just 31 yards carrying. Carter had 54. Gronkowski, amazing receiving game, 115. He's just what they needed after Antonio Brown stormed off the field. And Braxton Berrios, a pretty decent 65 yards and a touchdown. He was a big part of the Jets' 14-0 lead that they actually blew, and that is in common Jets fashion. So that sucks for them. But anyways, moving on to the Eagles and Washington. It looked like Washington was going to be able to pull it out of the hat, but Eagles beat Washington and they get help. They clinch the playoff berth, so now the Niners need to take over and get their playoff berth. Eagles clinch theirs. Um, Jalen Hurts, 214 yards. Heineke, 247 and an interception. Not too bad of a game for Heineke. Patterson had 57 yards and a touchdown. I guess Gibson was hurt. Scott had 47 yards. Boston Scott, is that his name? 47 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dallas Goedert, a really good tight end in this league, 71 yards receiving. And Terry McLaurin, 61 for himself. Yeah, it's a big divisional battle. It's a big win for Philadelphia. Congratulations to Jalen Hurts. A lot of really entertaining, really interesting storylines going to this playoffs. A team like the Eagles with Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith, a young Alabama rookie core, making it to the playoffs, I think that is really fucking awesome. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they could do there. Moving on to Rams and not Ravens. I really wanted the Ravens to win this one. But you know what? Stafford rallies a surging Rams past a shorthanded Ravens. They win by just a point. Matthew Stafford, he really won off of the game he had. 309, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He had 2 interceptions in the first half. Huntley had 197 for a pick. A pretty ugly game for Stafford. He got the ball down the field for sure, but he threw a lot of picks. Sony Michel, 74 yards and a touchdown. Devonta Freeman, 76 yards. Cooper Kupp, 95 yards and a touchdown. That's the first time in a while I haven't seen that man put up 100 receiving yards. And Mark Andrews, the forever dominant tight end in this league, putting up 89 yards, but to no avail. That man needs to be freed. Lamar Jackson, that's a very unfortunate occurrence to have a quarterback like him go down. Oh, it sucks. It would suck to be a Ravens fan for sure. You guys are still in it. A lot has to happen. A lot of teams are wanting the Jaguars to beat the Colts, which is understandable. But moving on to Broncos Chargers, not a very good game here. Broncos are pretty much out of it now. Herbert and Roberts propel the Chargers back into playoff position. They were out of it for a second, but now they get that wild card back with a great game for Herbert, 237, 2 touchdowns. Drew Lock, not too bad, 245 and a touchdown. Melvin Gordon, 43 yards rushing, and Austin Eckler, 58 yards and a touchdown. Noah Fant, a pretty good receiving game here for Denver. He had 92 and a touchdown. And Mike Williams, a rising star for the Chargers, and just three receptions, picks up 63 yards and a touchdown. So that's a big win for the Chargers. A lot of teams weren't wanting the Chargers to win. POV of a Colts fan, you wouldn't want them to win. A lot of my family NFL fans were definitely rooting for teams to lose, rooting for other teams to win. It was definitely a pretty confusing ordeal, but it was a fun football Sunday to watch some good football there. And Texans, Niners, man, Trey Lance throws 2 touchdown passes to lead the Niners past the Texans. They win by 16. I'm so happy for Trey Lance. This is a big game to win to keep you in there in that playoff race. And they can clinch next week with a win. Maybe a couple other teams will lose, like the Saints lose, and they could be in there. But Saints are playing the Panthers, so I don't know, or something like. They're not playing a good team. They're playing the Falcons, I think. It's going to be interesting down the stretch to see who makes the playoffs in the NFC, but Trey Lance, 249, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Davis Mills, 163, a touchdown and interception. Honestly, an off game from him. Rex Burkhead had 47 yards rushing. Elijah Mitchell in his return, amazing game, 119 yards. Brandon Ayuk, a really good game, 4 receptions, 94 yards. Brandon Cooks as well had a pretty solid game, 66 yards and a touchdown. So congratulations to the Niners for staying in the playoff race. Let's move on to Cardinals Cowboys. What a good game. 2 titans of football teams coming together and fighting for, honestly, a chance to win over the NFC. Cardinals kind of spoiled the Cowboys' plans there. Cardinals hold off the Cowboys, winning by 3 in a matchup of playoff teams. Yes, 2 really big teams going at it here. Kyler Murray, 263, 2 touchdowns. Dak, 226, 3 touchdowns. Nearly flawless passing game for both teams. Let's see here. Chase Edmonds, 53 yards rushing. Dak Prescott, though, 20 yards rushing. That was a big thing. The run game was very, very absent. Dak Prescott had to do it all himself. But Dalton Schultz, 54 yards receiving, and Christian Kirk with a nice little 79 yards receiving, and Antoine Wesley with a great Moss in the end zone. Randy, tonight on Monday Night Football, Randy Moss was like, he gifted him the "You Got Moss" gloves. That's a high honor to get. So congratulations to Antoine Wesley for a good game there. Panthers Saints, pretty ugly division battle, pretty scrappy. But you know what? Cameron Jordan, the Saints defense, they secure an 8-point win over the Panthers, and they stay in the playoff race. An opportunity next week to have a winning season. They might not even make the playoffs. I'm not sure, but you know what? We got to capitalize over the Panthers quarterback situation, and they did just that. Darnold 132 and a touchdown. Taysom Hill, really good game, 222 for a touchdown. Hubbard for Carolina had 55 yards and a touchdown, and Taysom Hill took it himself for 45 yards rushing. Good job there. Callaway, an up-and-coming receiver for the Saints. Him paired up with Michael Thomas. I think next year Thomas should be back. Will be pretty deadly, 97 yards from him. And Isaiah Thomas, I think his name is, a very fast tight end, a very agile tight end for the Panthers. He put up just 33. But you know what? When you have Sam Darnold, a very struggling quarterback at QB, you're gonna fucking lose. Like, yeah, the quarterback situation is something to behold, and yeah, it's very interesting. Final game we're gonna talk about is an absolute fucking shit show of a game. The Lions and the Seahawks, two teams eliminated from playoff contention. Rashard Penny, DK Metcalf lead the Seahawks to a 32 point or 22 point blowout of the Lions. Fucking horrible. Tim Boyle went out there, put up 262, two touchdowns, three fucking interceptions. One of the worst QBs to get an NFL job to date. And I'm a Packers fan. Russell Wilson, one of his best games of the year, 236 for four touchdowns. Rashad Penny, I think this is back-to-back week, was like 100 plus rush yards, 170 yards, and two touchdowns. Rashad Penny, shout out to him. Finishing the season off strong. Well, we still have a week. I don't know why I'm saying that, but DeAndre Swift just 32 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a very up-and-coming receiver for the Lions, 111 and a touchdown. And Swain was actually the leading target today for the Seahawks with 65 yards. So yeah, that's gonna do it. A lot of playoff implications. There's still a playoff race present. Not all of the spots are there. I think there's still probably about 5 total, or maybe like 2 to 4 total playoff spots in the NFL. I know there's one in the AFC Open. I don't know how I'm sure it's really competitive over in the AFC. That's a very good conference to be in. But yeah, stay tuned for next week's episode. It's going to be very interesting to see who gets in the playoffs. It's going to be sad to see some of the teams not make the playoffs because there's a lot of teams in the AFC that I like that might not even make the playoffs. I definitely liked the Dolphins. They didn't make the playoffs, so it's pretty rough, but hopefully you enjoyed the games. Hopefully you enjoyed my analysis. I try to do my best. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. As always, it's been Jeezy TV with Sports Talk Mondays. This concludes it for this week. We'll see you next week with Sunday night.